Pink News ran a story during Pride Month with the headline, "Bisexuals are less likely to be out than gay or lesbian people." It stated, the research from Stanford University shows that only 19% of bisexuals surveyed are out to most or all of the important people in their lives. And that's compared with 75% of gay or lesbian people. I want to talk to you about why bisexual people feel excluded from work, life, and love. You know the acronym LGB, right? The L, the G, and the B, they so easily roll off the tongue in this commonly used acronym that you would think bisexual people would have the same level of acceptance as lesbian and gay people. Well, you'd be wrong, as the research from Stanford has found. I did my own research last week using my LinkedIn network, and every single respondent stated, number one, not many people know that they're bisexual. Usually it's only their partner or their close friends. Number two, they don't feel accepted and supported in society. And number three, they don't feel accepted and supported in the LGBT plus community. Now, can you imagine that? Can you imagine feeling like you don't fit in anywhere? That absolutely blows my mind, and it upsets me that people feel this way, that they're hiding who they really are and they don't have a place that they feel safe and welcome. Imagine if that was your sister, your brother, your best friend, or your child. Being bisexual. Society doesn't understand it. Partners are threatened by it, and it isn't widely discussed. People choose not to come out, which impacts on their physical and their mental health, as does bi erasure in society. And the one place where you would think bisexual people would feel comfortable within the LGBT plus community, it isn't a source of support or acceptance. In fact, I will be bold here and say bisexuals face harsher criticism within the LGBT plus community than in society at large. There are many misconceptions about being bisexual. I want to address a few of those in the hope that this increases your awareness and your understanding. Here are the key issues faced by bisexual people. Number one, social conditioning. We are conditioned from an early age about what is acceptable and normal behaviour in society. Bisexuality is looked upon with confusion by gay people, lesbians and straight people alike. I have overheard on many occasions my bi friends being asked if they are a full-blown gay yet. Here are a few of the things my bi clients have heard from others that have significantly impacted on their mental health, their self-worth and their self-esteem. Bisexuals are just going through a phase. Being bisexual is a student thing, you'll grow out of it. People come out as bisexual to soften the blow of coming out as gay or lesbian. You're not bisexual, you're just confused. You have to pick a side. You get the idea. All of these are perceptions formed from social conditioning. They're not based on any truth or fact. Social conditioning is the source of most of our judgments, criticisms, fears, and unkindness towards others. Misunderstandings, unchallenged thoughts, unexplored beliefs. There's a common misconception in society that you can't possibly be bisexual. There isn't such a thing. When I hear that, I instantly think of the gender binary and how society struggles with anything outside of that. When I go to parties, within minutes of me entering the room, I'll be approached by someone saying, "Gina, I don't get this whole non-binary and gender fluid thing. Explain it to me." As with non-binary and gender fluidity, there is a distinct lack of conversations happening around bisexuality, which results in confusion and misunderstandings. Number two, the masks we wear. You create a mask to protect you and to hide certain elements of the real you. It's a version of yourself that you've honed over the years. You don't want your true feelings or personality to be exposed, and you don't want to be hurt. All you really want is to fit in and to be accepted. You heard the statistics in the survey. Only 19% of bisexuals are out to all or most of the important people in their lives. Growing up in a heterosexual world and experiencing social conditioning from a young age, LGBT people have a few more layers to their masks than straight people, a few more things to hide and overcome under certain situations and with specific people. I would argue that bisexual people have more complex masks and layers than lesbians and gay men. Number 3, relationships. It is reported that the reason there are fewer same-sex couples and marriages with bisexual people is because there is a smaller pool of people. I don't necessarily agree with that. Here are my thoughts and observations. First point to make. In a relationship, when one person is bisexual and the other is a lesbian, often the lesbian feels threatened. I've worked with a number of lesbians that are in relationships with bisexual women, and they all had real issues around feeling insecure, anxious, and an underlying uncertainty in the relationship. They often reported they were waiting for them to go off with a man, or worried that they were checking everyone out. Second point, when bisexual women marry men, they are labelled by society as straight, and vice versa. They fit into those socially accepted norms and they're perceived to be heterosexual. Many people choose to stay silent about their bisexuality when they're in what could be perceived as a heterosexual relationship. Gay Star News ran an article about Stephanie Beatrix, I hope I've said that right, the Brooklyn 99 actress. And the story was, I'm marrying a guy, but that doesn't make me any less bisexual. Just because a bisexual person is marrying someone from the opposite sex, it doesn't mean they've finally chosen a side or are no longer bisexual. Number 4, invisibility and bi erasure. When in a relationship with someone of the opposite gender, bisexuals often report feeling excluded from the queer community. When socialising at LGBT plus events, they often face questioning to clarify their sexual orientation. They face judgment, criticism, biphobia and exclusion. They are viewed as a straight couple and report feeling awkward, uncomfortable and like an outsider in the LGBT plus community. Bisexual men typically experience less social acceptance than bisexual women, gay men and lesbians. In the media, there is a distinct lack of bi visibility. And in the workplace, I hear from people that work in the public sector, LGBT-focused charities and organisations, and customer-facing roles. They tell me how they've been labelled as an outsider because they are bisexual, even in LGBT plus companies. They tell me how they've been pushed out of the business because they weren't truly embodying being LGBT plus, and that's usually when they're in a relationship with someone from the opposite gender. And they're being warned not to tell any of their clients, suppliers or associates about their sexual orientation. And lastly, number 5, LGBT plus hate crime is on the rise. In a report published by the Home Office, it is stated that between 2017 and 2018, that there has been a 27% increase in sexual orientation related hate crimes and a 32% increase in transgender identity hate crimes. That is in 1 year. Here's how you can support your bisexual friends and colleagues. Number 1, educate yourself about bisexuality. Talk to people about it. Start having conversations about sexual orientation. Let's break the silence. Number 2, have a conversation with your bi friends and colleagues. Let them know that you are there to support them and ask them what is the best way that you can do that. Number 3, remember they may not be out to anyone else. Respect them and be sure not to out them. Number 4, don't assume anyone's identity based on who they are dating. Number 5, be curious and ask questions. If you don't know something, ask, but please remember to be respectful. Number 6, if you have any personal misconceptions about bisexuality, challenge those. Find out where they have come from and educate yourself on the truth. Number 7, check your language. Are you using any bi-excluding language? Number 8, challenge biphobia. If you hear it, speak it. Let the person know that what they are saying isn't acceptable. And on another note, become aware of any internal biphobia that you may have. Notice what you think when you see a same-sex couple walking down the street. What assumptions do you make about them? Begin to challenge this when you notice it rising in you. Listen, it isn't part of who you are, it's part of the social conditioning that you've experienced throughout your life. Become aware of it. Number 9, celebrate with your bi friends and colleagues on Bisexuality Visibility Day. Remember, the B in LGB is real. It isn't a choice, just like being straight isn't a choice, or gay or lesbian. It isn't about being indecisive or greedy. You can't control or change it. It is what it is. Think of gender and sexuality as being on a spectrum. Remember that you're not your sexuality. You are so much more than that. Don't become defined by your sexuality. We all want the same thing, to be loved and to love. Who you choose to direct and receive that love from is of no concern to anyone other than you. I embrace everyone in my community, whether gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, questioning, queer, intersex, straight. It doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to you. If you want to know more about this topic, I've written a detailed article on it. The link to read it is in the description for the video. And I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts and experiences? Leave me a message. And listen, if you like what you've seen today, please subscribe, share this with your friends, and leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.